What is up, everybody? Isaac here with another episode of Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be here with you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for giving this a listen. I know it's kind of a weird niche talking to civil engineers, but hey, we're kind of weird people. And, you know, most of the population doesn't even know what civil engineers do they? I don't think so. But excited that you're here and that you're giving us a listen. So I wanted to jump on real quick and introduce this next episode to you. I actually bring a past guest on, Cody Sims, who I interviewed probably a year ago. He actually reached out to me, and we thought it would be fun to just discuss where he's at. And when we interviewed him first, he was still in school. So you got the experience of going through school with him and sharing advice about that. Now, a year later, he's out in the workforce. He's passed the FE, and he gives tips around that. He also gives tips around his job hunt, job search. And in the last episode, we talked about him building some roads on Mars, but we talked a little bit about that in his application with SpaceX. We'll see where that goes. And just had a really fun discussion with him. So I thought this would be really good for anybody that's interested in civil engineering or wants to know the journey of a civil engineer, to bring him back on a year after he's done with school and just see where things are at. And he does share a lot of wisdom with people. So I think it's a really fun episode for anyone to listen to. And just really enjoyable. So anyway, with that, thanks for being here. Appreciate that you're here. Leave a comment if you've liked this or if you have any suggestions on future episodes. I'm always game to hear those. And we'll get going on this. So thanks for being here. And it's all coming right up. All right. What is going on, Cody? Thanks for jumping on again on the Civil Engineering Academy podcast. Round 2.
Yes. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for, I guess, a third chance now. We had some technical difficulties the second time around. So, hey, man, I'm happy to be here. It's always a privilege to talk to you.
Awesome. We'll have to throw in some bloopers or something because it was pretty funny there at the end, trying to get an internet connection while you're at work. So it was good times. Yeah. So what we wanted to do is kind of, check in on you. You've done a lot of things. It's been about, close to a year probably, being out of school and such. And you brought up that it would be kind of fun. And I think I agree to find out, stages of your engineering career and how things are going. So how are things right now?
Man, they're good. They're real good. So I think I was engaged whenever we last talked. And so Melissa and I got married, and we just celebrated our 1 year in August. So that was a big deal. It was fun. So,
happy 1 year.
Yeah. Well,
nice job.
Yeah. We lasted 1 year. We're going. Passed my FE. So that's a big deal. I look forward to giving some tips about that. And, I've steadily increased my salary with every job that I've taken. So, I'm excited. I'm happy to be back on. And it was just, I was thinking about it last night. I think I was watching, something on YouTube or something. It reminded me of you. I was probably watching one of your videos or something, but it reminded me.
Hey, at least someone's watching them.
That's right. Yeah. So, I shot you an email and said, hey, you want to do like a 1 year update? Cause, I remember giving so much advice in that last episode. And, I figured it'd be a good idea to show how that could go into fruition, when you have your goals set. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Well, last time we were chatting, I think you were drinking the V8 juice and you were going to build some roads on Mars. Is that still the plan? Still headed to Mars?
I'm glad you said that. So the V8 juice, I don't think I've had one since. So, it was good. It was just, I don't know. I guess I never got around to it. But, roads on Mars. So, funny story, actually. I applied to SpaceX. So really interesting. Yeah, it was, that was one of those moments where, and there's a nugget of knowledge to the listeners. It's one of those moments where if you never take a step, you'll never know, So they had an open position for like a construction observer or something like that, something in construction. which is, part of my background at RDOT. We mentioned that in the last episode, about I had like 2 or 3 years of RDOT experience. That's Arkansas Department of Transportation. I was an inspector for that, or intern, but really I was an inspector. That was kind of my duties. So I figured it would fit right in line. I shot over my resume, and they basically sent me an email and said there was a complication with the application. We advised that you reapply at a later time whenever the technology settles out. So it was pretty cool to get something back. Not many people can say they got an email from SpaceX.
But you tried. You applied.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's something that I want to tell my kids, later on life, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, whenever they're scared to do something, I'm going to be like, hey, dude, look, I applied at friggin' Elon Musk's job. So, that's just, it was really, really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome that you did that. Well, let's take a step back. So you mentioned that you passed the FE exam.
Yes,
so
sir.
Maybe what tips do you have for those that are about to prepare, or they're studying, or they're about to take? What tips do you have around the FE that you might want to share with the audience?
Sure. I really mentioned it the last podcast about watching YouTube videos, and that's pretty much what I did. I watched YouTube video after YouTube video, and there was a lady, I forgot her name. It was like Miss FE or something on YouTube. I can't remember, but she really helped because she explained it really well. And I wish I would have wrote it down. But just know there's a lady out there that helped me, whoever you are. No, I mean, that and practicing problems, that really helped. Went through the FE manual and the reference manual, and that really helped, where that thing front to back, where you need to be looking, and you practice with that, because at the end of the day with the FE, that's all you're going to have. You're going to have a marker, or at least for me, it was a marker board, dry erase board, with a marker and eraser, and obviously the reference manual, but that's it. So whenever I would get to a question that I didn't know, just FYI, I passed on the first try. So this isn't just ludicrous. Okay.
Right. Nice.
When I was taking it and I got to a question I didn't know, I skipped it. And some people, they even told me this, my professors and stuff, never skip a question, just guess and move on. And then, if you have time, go back. So I flagged it. You were able to flag it on the computer one. And so I would guess, and I flagged it and made sure that I did the stuff that I was really, really confident on, or, I was real energized about. Sometimes when I get with a problem that I enjoy doing, I get excited about it.
Nice.
So
I know this.
It goes, yeah, that's right. And it goes, like clockwork. So, what I did was I did those questions first that seemed so easy, and I double checked it to make sure that it wasn't just one of those flukes where they try and trick you. And then at the end, I went back and made sure I did all the ones that I guessed on, and kind of sorted which ones I thought I could get done in time. So that was really helpful. And I guess the second, or however many we're on, tips, I brought pre-workout for lunch. So I obviously ate lunch. I ate like a sandwich or something, but what I drank was some pre-workout and water. And I think that also helped me, because during the test, at least me anyways, I get test anxiety. And so when I'm sitting there for 4 hours or however long the first half was, I got just mentally exhausted. So that little bit of a boost kind of helped me go into the second half. And to be honest, the first half was stuff that I didn't really understand. It was like econ stuff, statistics. I mean, that stuff goes over my head. But the second half was more civil related, like foundations and transportation, fill in the blank. So
do you feel like there was a lot of theory problems on there? Do you feel like they had a lot of theory type?
I think it was half and half, if I remember right. Yeah, it was pretty even. Yeah, it was pretty even. I think that there were a lot of what's the best case here? Which one's the best answer? And that's where that engineering judgment comes in. That's where they're trying to test you to see if you have that, I guess, minimal capacity. I forgot what they call it, but they're checking to make sure that you have that minimum requirement to be an engineer.
Do you feel like a lot of people are scared of the alternative item type questions? Do you feel like that multiple choice was still a majority of the exam? Or do you feel like these alternative item types really were a lot of questions?
What are the alternative item?
Alternative item types. So instead of just being multiple choice, they could pick drag and drop, multiple correct. It doesn't just need to be like 4 answers. It could be like 10 of them, point and click, and fill in the blank, I think is what they are. So do you feel like the exam was still mainly multiple choice, or you just feel like you know, if you know it, and you're going to solve it the right way?
Both.
Okay.
So I do think that if I remember right, there were a lot of multiple choice, and there were also some where, select the following kind of thing, select the correct answers out of the following or something like that, especially with the ethics questions. And that can get you. Yeah, I remember taking tests in college, and it would be the select all that apply, and I mean that was just frustrating because you'd miss one and you miss the whole question.
Yes.
So
yeah. I have one other question about this FE and tips around it, but a lot of people get hung up on the timing of it, the time issue, taking an exam that's timed, how to get through the questions quickly. Do you have any advice around taking the exam through a timed exam, knowing you only have so many minutes per problem?
Yes. So a couple of my professors really helped prepare us as students for this test. So they basically made their exams around the FE, which I thought was really crucial. It definitely helped everybody who took it, because by the time you took it, you're like, oh, an hour's by and I'm however many questions in. So that helps. So I guess where I'm getting at with that is time your questions. So I think on average, what is it, like 3-4 minutes a question?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, 110 questions. Yeah. Less than 6 hours to do it, like 5 hours, 40 minutes.
Okay. So make sure that you space out your questions whenever you're taking the practice test. Make sure that, you actually time yourself, you take your test, and then, see however far over you went, or however many questions you have left at, whenever time expired. And that'll give you a good ratio on where you're at whenever you actually take it. So, and chances are you're going to be really nervous when you actually take it. So you might want to have a factor of safety on that, and maybe tone it down 10% or something. So,
and Cody, did Civil Engineering Academy help you at all?
I never paid for a class. I'm sorry, but
shame on you, Cody.
I know. But hey, if we're going to talk about the PE, I may purchase.
You may get in that.
I'm looking into it. It's nothing against you. I think your program's great. It's just, anyways, we don't have to get into that.
Well, hey, that's all good. If people need it, you can go check it out at civilpereviewcourse.com. And we also have the FE, civilFEreviewcourse.com. So
that's right. Yeah. Now, your YouTube videos did help. I will say that.
Excellent.
The ones where you would work out a problem, I remember right now laying in bed at 9:30
watching them in bed?
Watching them at 9:30 at night. So that way it stays in your head. I guess that's another tip. They talk about sleeping with a book under your pillow, or whatever the saying is.
You're just dreaming about them.
That's something that I did. I would watch your videos at 9:30 at night and watch you solve a statics problem. I mean, I remember that. So yeah, I mean, you did help. You really did.
Well, those are good tips. So if anybody, if you're studying for the FE, those are great tips, Cody. So thanks for sharing your experience with that. If people need more answers to questions, they could definitely find you and reach out to you on those.
Yes, and I said it in the last podcast, the Facebook group is really, really great. The community, CEA Community.
CEAcommunity.com. Go check it out.
It is great. It really helped me. I could go on there and look at random stuff that people were struggling with. I could practice those problems doing myself, see if I could figure them out. And if I didn't, there was probably an answer in the comments somewhere. So
Nice. I'm glad you used that. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. So you got that done. Walk me through what's happened after graduation and what job did you land? How did you get that job and things of that nature?
sure. So I guess after the podcast, I started a new job with BGE Incorporated in Fayetteville, and I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to name drop them, but there it is. I haven't asked for permission, so whoops. Um, so yeah, I started a job with them, and it was really, a temporary type job. They offered me a full-time position in Hot Springs, but Melissa and I were up here in Fayetteville, so that wouldn't really work out well. She was still in school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, it was experience with RDOT, so like reports and material reports, that type of thing, a lot of paperwork. And then after graduation, started getting my name out there, started going on LinkedIn like crazy, started sending in my applications to people, and landed a job in Fayetteville, and I stayed there for like 6-7 months. And you kind of know when a place isn't for you. And this isn't necessarily a disrespect towards them. It's not a diss or anything like that. But you kind of get that feeling where, it's time to move on. So that's what I did. I moved on to where I'm at now, McClellan Consulting Engineers, which, by the way, they're hiring now. So if you're listening to this, you're in Northwest Arkansas, you need a job as a civil engineer or licensed architect, even they're hiring those as well.
What area of civil engineering do they kind of specialize in, or is it all civil departments? What do we got here?
I'm glad you asked that. So I'm in land development right now. I meant to say that and I just forgot it. So I got my feet wet after graduation in land development. I thought it was very interesting because you're really doing everything. I mean, you're looking at research, you're looking at survey, you're looking at geotech reports, you're messing with utilities, you're messing with easements, and not to mention grading and all that stuff. So I thought it was interesting. So I accepted a job for that, and then that's what I'm doing now. McClellan does about everything except structural, I think. So they do aviation. They do. I don't have my business card on me, but there's probably 20 things that they do. So
awesome.
they do a wide range of things. Yeah.
So Cody, what advice would you have for somebody that is either about to graduate or is looking for a job? Do you have any tips around trying to land a job or find something?
Well, your number one resource is going to be your friends or family or somebody who you know. I remember my dad telling me, growing up, where connections is everything, and that couldn't be more true. I mean, I knew some people at where I'm at now. I know about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 college students that I graduated with. They work there, so it's huge. You've got to make connections. Make sure that you stay in connections with those that you were in college with. I said this in the last podcast, even about making sure that you make friends and in your classes or whatever. So as far as
did a friend or help you land the job that you're in? I mean, was that through a connection?
Yes, that's exactly right. So I called up one of my friends. I actually had 2 offers and I took this one. So I called up 2 of my friends, 2 or 3, and basically they said, "Yeah, I mean, we're hiring. Come on over, and we'll put in a good word for you." And so, yeah, I mean, connections they're really important. They got me to where I'm at now.
What kind of interview tips would you share with the audience? Starting a new job, anything around an interview that pops in your mind?
Well, I guess my first thing is use whenever they post the application online, use that as sort of your study guide. And by that, I mean, whenever you're sending in your resume, you need to have keywords on there that reflect that application. So whenever they say, you need, I don't know, 3 years of AutoCAD experience, you need to make sure you have that on your resume, because a lot of times they're going to look at your resume, and if you don't have what they want, they're not even going to interview you.
All right.
So that's what I did with the job I have now. Is I basically went through the application. I did it with SpaceX too. Went through the application, used it as a study guide, and made sure I took notes on what they wanted and put that in my resume. As far as interview, whenever you actually get in the interview, a lot of times they're going to ask you, why do you think you deserve to be here? Or why should we hire you? Or, fill in the blank. You need to have your notes out that you wrote down, as far as, because they're looking for a certain candidate, right? They're looking for somebody to fill a position, and you need to make sure that you have the right words to say to make sure that they understand that you are the right candidate for that position. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice, is use that application as a study guide.
That's perfect. I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's where it all starts. That's how you're going to get through any sort of applicant tracking system, if they have one of those. But that's what they're going to want to see on a resume, and that's a good advice. And I've noticed a lot of times when you are during interviews, a big component of you getting hired is how you're going to fit kind of in that company's culture a little bit. Like, are you going to be a good team player? How this is going to work out. And so some of those oddball questions sometimes you get at the end of the interviews and things like that kind of are related to those kind of things where they're trying to test maybe how your cultural fit.
I have a good example of that. So with McClellan, with the interview that I had, it was an hour and a half long, and it wasn't necessarily him drilling me with questions. He's probably going to listen to this. I asked him for permission earlier today if I could do this.
We won't name names.
Yeah. So at the end, it was more of me and him just talking, and he just said, okay. And I guess it was one that he had written down, because it seemed like it was a change in the vibe in the room. Mm-hmm. So, we were just talking and communicating. Okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. Oh, I'm a hard, blah, 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 blah. And then, I don't know, probably 30 minutes later, he says, okay, to shift gears here, are you competitive? And I'm like, yes. I mean, I don't want to come off as, super competitive, but I also don't want to say that I'm super laid back. I want to be, number one. I want to be the champion. I want to have the trophy at the end of the day. So I made sure that, I didn't come across too strong, but I made sure that he got my point, that I'm willing to beat somebody in a softball game or something.
All right. I like it.
So just an example of what you're saying.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of those kind of questions people struggle with. That's kind of what they're trying to see. Well, that's exciting. So full year's gone by. You've done a lot of stuff. It's kind of fun to see and document your own journey into this world. Where do you see yourself here in the next year, or where do you see yourself planning for the PE in the future? Where do you see yourself maybe in the next, 3-4 years, you think?
Well, I do hope to take. So I think Arkansas made it to where you can take the PE as soon as you graduate, or as soon as you get your FE. So
great.
I mean, pretty tempting if you ask me. I know some friends who are taking it in October. I decided not to go that route. I wanted to see how they did, starting out, and see, just not necessarily how little I have to study, but how much I should study. Because life gets busy, I mean, I feel sorry for those who had to wait 4 years to take it, because by then your life takes off. So I plan
in some kids and a couple other things, and it gets real hard.
Yeah, that's right. So I plan on taking it the next round, and then let's see. I mean, gosh, I hope to be at the same company 3 or 4 years from now. I love them; they're great, and I love working with who I work with, and they're real patient. So I hope that I will be a PE at least 4 years from now, or maybe even a little less, 3 years. So
I would recommend, you haven't been at school that long. I would definitely recommend trying to get it done earlier, because the longer you wait, the more knowledge you kind of lose from schooling. As you specialize, you start specializing in the career that you prefer and you like, and you kind of lose touch a little bit of other subjects you went deep into. But if you're fresh out of school and you can still do it, I would say get it done if you can. So if that's what your state does, that would be a really good thing to do.
Here before long, maybe you'll be getting my bank account info for the PE review.
Send it over. Send it over. Hey, we're very affordable. Well, good deal. So we got the PE that you want to do, and it sounds like you're really happy with where you're at right now. Do you see yourself more in a land development role? Is that kind of what you're liking? Or you kind of don't know what you don't know, and as you grow in companies and careers, there's usually different paths that you can end up taking down the road. But it sounds like you're happy with what you're doing. Is that kind of what you see yourself doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I like it. I like land development. It's certainly not one of the mainstream civil engineering things. It kind of threw me off that it was even a thing, to be honest, when I started out at my other engineering firm. So I grew, in college, my favorite class, and my manager knows this, so it's no surprise to him. My favorite subject was transportation, and this isn't necessarily me telling him that I want to change, business lines or anything. I'm happy where I'm at, no big deal. But yeah, man, I really liked transportation. I haven't done any transportation design, so I don't know what that would be like outside of school, obviously. I've done the inspector, position, but I think it's really cool that with land development, you can do everything. I mean, we're talking like whether it's designing a road where I have to go ask a question for transportation, like what should the slopes be or the cross slopes or gutter, blah, 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 blah. You're talking with so many people that you're not necessarily just stuck in a cubicle.
All right.
You're on the phone with, clients, or you're sending emails to clients, or you're on the phone with electrical companies, and that's really what I like about it is just, it's it's kind of like you're not going deep. You're just real shallow and wide. So it's really neat.
I like it. Well, that's good to know. You've shared a lot of good stuff with us, man. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing your journey with us. It's always fun to catch up, see how you're doing. Do you have any other advice for anybody that's, looking at graduating school and starting this journey of civil engineering?
Well, hey, you've made it. If you're graduating, you are on the other side, basically. Just get you a full-time position, and at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for you. Somebody told me that a while ago. So if you don't take risks in life, you're never going to reap the rewards of the risk. And obviously, you're going to fail at some point, but I think failures are just learning lessons. That's how I look at them. So that's what I got.
Sweet. Cody, thanks for jumping on. I really do appreciate it. I really enjoyed our last episode. I'm glad that you reached out and wanted to give us a little status update. So appreciate it.
If you couldn't tell last episode, I was really tired, number one. And number two, I was really nervous. So I would advise everybody to not listen to that episode if you haven't yet.
Oh man, it's a great one. Everyone should go check it out if you haven't. So thanks, Cody.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, yes, sir.
All right. We're going to jump into this, Cody. How you doing?
I'm good. Given the circumstances, we're good. We had some technical difficulties, but hey, we're here. We're glad to be here.
Awesome. We tried about 3 different rooms, and we got Cody back on after about a year, I'd say, or so that we interviewed you last. I don't remember exactly when, but wanted to bring you back on and find out where you're at and your journey. And hopefully I didn't lose you. Hey, what happened?
Don't say a word.
What happened, Cody? What's going on?
See, now it's...
Is this going to work? Give me a nice shot of that sign. You still there? You got me on mute.
I'm not getting paid to do this, so just for the record, I'm not stealing anybody's money.
This is great. Hey, we can just do a
You
walk.
sound like...
Want to do a walk and talk or what?
Right now you're sounding like you're a chipmunk. So then we might have to postpone this or something. I don't know.
We could do that. Maybe you get better connection at your home or something.